Hello and welcome. I am so happy you're here. So grateful to be here with you. Today, we are talking a little bit about the history of the planet Mercury from the Roman and Greek mythology perspective. And the reason we're starting there is because it holds the base of the symbolism of the planet Mercury and how it shows up in your life. Okay, here we go. So I am in mythopedia.com. And if you want to go deeper into the myths, Roman and Greek of astrology, you can find many planetary gods and myths on this site and many others. It's a deep, deep topic that we're only going to skate across because it's so deep, and we really want to look at how these things show up personally and internally. Okay, so Mercury, we call him the messenger god, and the planet Mercury, by the way, is the smallest planet in the solar system, and it travels the closest to the sun. Mercury takes 88 days to take a full cycle, and the sun takes 30 days to take a full cycle. So in your birth chart, you either have Mercury in the same sign as your sun sign, or Mercury one sign next to your sun sign. If Mercury is in the same sign as your sun sign, you're known as a true sun. For example, if you have Aries sun and Aries Mercury, you are a true Aries. However, if you have Aries sun and Taurus Mercury, you are a little bit different. You experience life a little bit different than a full Aries. So Mercury was a wily trickster, the Roman god of commerce, of communication and travels, the patron of thieves, messengers, and merchants, and he was responsible for conveying souls to the underworld. Many people don't know this about the history of Mercury and this planet, but Mercury literally went into the underworld to bring messages from above to below, and he connected and communicated with the people of the underworld. So Mercury controlled the flow of information between worlds and between commerce, between travel. And he often took this to his advantage, meaning he's a trickster. He's not always forward and clear. And if you think about your own mind and the ego, the thoughts that go through your mind, I'm sure you can see the relationship here of how your mind can be a trickster. Your mind can create illusions. Your mind can trick you into thinking that something you believe is real, when in fact it is simply one perspective or one perception. Like Hermes, Mercury was a little bit different from the others. He pushed the boundaries. He was often nude. I'm not sure what that has to do with your mind, but we'll figure it out. And he was the only god in the Roman pantheon who could freely cross into the underworld. He possessed a winged helmet that allowed him to fly, and he carried the potent Caduceus, which is a wand with serpents wrapped around it. So that is pretty dope, this image of a god with a helmet, and it has wings, and he can travel anywhere and relay communication and even go into the underworld. He also holds a staff with serpents. Serpents are a very potent symbol of awakening, and also if you know the story of Adam and Eve, you know the serpent had its own role in deceiving the purity of the mind. So when we talk about Mercury, we're talking about your mind, how your mind works, how your mind communicates, how you perceive the world, what your beliefs are, and what information is filtered through your personal Mercury. So you'll open your birth chart and you'll find where your Mercury is. It will be very close to your sun. I'm going to open up a chart to give an example. So I'm going to use Mel's chart. Thank you, Mel. Everybody send loving thoughts to Mel. So if you look at Mel's chart and you find her sun, she has her sun in Leo. And if you look around the sun, you will find Mercury. So Mercury looks like it kind of looks like Venus with an antenna. You know, the antenna pulling in information, pulling in communication, checking out what's going on in the world around. And you'll see that Mel is a true Leo. Mel's sun, the solar energy that shines bright through her, is the same sign as her Mercury sign. All right, I'm going to go into Heather. So her mind and her expression are very, very similar. Now, Heather has his sun and Mercury in Taurus. Let's see if I can find someone who has, let's go to Joel Carpenter. Sun love to Joel. Thank you, Joel. Thank you, Heather. You can see Sagittarius sun and Capricorn Mercury. Okay, so like I said, Mercury takes 88 days to travel around in its full cycle. The sun is 30, so they travel very close together. Now, we want to look at our Mercury to understand how the mind functions. And the mind is going to be a little bit different if you have a different sun sign than your Mercury sign. For example, I have my sun in Capricorn. And as you know from studying, Capricorn is very grounded, it's very practical, it's very work-oriented, it's very goal-oriented and success-oriented. And it's like a bedrock of a sign, this foundation grounding sign. My Mercury is in Sagittarius. My mind is not the same as my Capricorn sun. So yes, I continue to express these Capricorn qualities. However, my mind is a little more Sagittarius. It's messy. It can be disorganized. No offense to the other Sag Mercuries out there. It can be a little bit more expansive and wanting to explore and wanting to learn and take in lots of information. It is more spiritual than Capricorn is, and it wants to travel. It wants to understand why we're here. Like, what are we doing on Earth? Because those are some of the Sagittarius themes. So if you go back and you look for your Mercury, and then you find the sign that your Mercury is in, you want to study that sign to understand how your mind works. Now let's open the zodiac signs chart. I'm going to share my screen so you can see it. Okay, so right here I have them, they're separated in elements, and that's good because each sign is ruled by an element. There's 3 signs to each element, and depending upon what element your Mercury is in, that is going to be the pace of your mind, how your mind functions. So if you have a earth mind, your mind will be a little more grounded, a little slower. If it's a Taurus Mercury, your mindset might be around safety and security. On the sheet, it says patient, reliable, determined, stubborn, and self-indulgent. And you can imagine how that would work for your brain and how your thoughts are going. Taurus minds, Taurus Mercuries are also known to be experiential learners. So in school, they aren't the kids that are picking information up super, super quick. They normally have a slower pace where they go through information and they take things in slower. So if you are let's say, a Gemini sun and you have a Taurus Mercury, your mind isn't quite going to be as fast as the normal Gemini over satiated, overactive, sort of riled up, wild mind that wants their fingers in everything. You'll have a little slower pace. Virgo, your mind will be more practical, more perfectionist oriented. You'll be detail oriented. You'll be a little bit more conservative about how your belief systems are. Capricorn, mind, Mercury is going to be more grounded, more ambitious and practical. And if you have, let's say, a Libra sun and your self-expression, your solar energy is focused on beauty and idealism, and your external expression is on aesthetics and music and how harmonious you can make your life, and then you have a mind that is in Capricorn, you may bring a little more perfection into that aesthetic desire. You may be more hard on yourself. You may be more fatalistic, like thinking about what could go wrong. Whereas if your mind is Mercury Libra, you'll be more oriented to keep the peace, be in relationship, be social, be beauty minded. Okay. So hopefully you're getting an idea of there's a difference between how your mind functions and how you express yourself to the world on a solar level. All right. So there is a couple of layers here to dig into. The air minds are faster. They are open. They are looking for information. Mercury is ruled by Gemini. So if you have your Mercury in Gemini, you are extremely what we'd call Mercurian, where information, the gathering of information is important to you. If you've got your mind in Libra, it may be challenging for you to make decisions and choose one side because you're able to look at all of the sides, and Libra is very justice oriented. So you may have a justice oriented mind and you're looking for fairness. You're also looking for beauty. You want a harmonious, peaceful, beautiful, easy experience, which is challenging on this planet because reality is not always beautiful. It's quite harsh. If you have an Aquarian mind, if you're a Aquarius Mercury, you will be out of the box, different thinking. You'll be in the genius of the mindset. Aquarius is known as the scientist, this outward thinking, totally out of the box, very original mindset, a maverick of the mind, highly intellectual, a little emotionally detached, especially if you are a Mercury Aquarius, especially if you're Sun and Mercury. However, if let's say your Sun is in Mercury, but your Sun is in Aquarius. Let's say your Sun is in Aquarius and your Mercury is in a water sign, is in Cancer, then you will be projecting this Aquarius self. However, your mind will be more intuitive than other Aquarians, more loving, more emotional, more nurturing. You'll have a watery expression to your thoughts. Same with Scorpio, you'll be deep. You'll be a little secretive with that Scorpio mind. You will be looking at the details. You will be potentially suspicious. The detective mind, the mind that wants to know the truth and really get to the bottom. Pisces mind will be everything all at once. If you have Mercury in Pisces, you are definitely artistically oriented. You may be an artist or a poet or a musician, really on the outside of what is classically or traditionally like normal. Most likely you'll be drawn towards spirituality and the themes that are Piscean, movies, art, things that are beyond the normal bounds of this physical reality. Now, if you have your Mercury, your mind in fire, there will be a little more impulsiveness to you. There's a fastness to fire. There's a intensity to fire, a quickness to fire. So in Aries, there will be some daring fire thoughts, wanting to go to the extreme, wanting to be ahead of the others. There's a bit of competitiveness often with an Aries Mercury. There is a wanting to be the best. And it's simply because they are the first sign. So they're pushing out of the gate and they're on the frontiers and it's fast. A Leo mind will be a creative mind, an expansive mind. Leo rules the heart. Also, the sun is what is ruled by Leo. The sun rules Leo. So there's this loving, generous warmth, as well as a desire to know that they're doing it right. Am I doing this right? Is this right? Am I okay? Said the Leo, is someone going to validate this? Is this good enough? And so that Leo mind is looking for internal validation on the higher frequencies. And then Sagittarius mind, I talked about this earlier at the beginning of the video. Optimism is a huge piece of being a Sagittarius, wanting to see the world as the glass is half full. Honesty is very important and having integrity in what they do. And this is a very philosophical and spiritual sign where the Sagittarius mind wants to learn and grow. They're known as the students of life, as well as the teachers. You're forever learning, forever expanding, forever finding the breadcrumbs of why you're here. Sagittarius asks, why am I here? What am I doing here? Okay, so that is Mercury in a nutshell. And another really important piece about the mind, about Mercury, the trickster, remember it's the trickster, is to always go back to your higher self and know that you're able to observe your thoughts. Oftentimes, the mind is telling stories. The mind isn't seeing things clearly. The mind is preoccupied in keeping us safe and away from danger, away from death. The mind and your reticular activating system, your RAS, which you've learned about, the job of the mind is to look for what's wrong. The job of the mind is to see where danger lives. And the job of the higher self is to observe that mental chatter in the mind and use your mental qualities like a sharpened knife, like a tool. You can use a knife in two ways. You can use a knife to like cut somebody and create blood, or you can use a knife to sharpen something, to make a beautiful meal. You could use a knife to carve a piece of wood into beautiful furniture. So always know that your mind has this duality to it, where there's a higher function, your higher self, the soul part of you, the part of you that's connected to your heart, is looking for love, compassion, and following through on the desires of your life. Your mind wants to keep you safe. And ideally, the mind can be in service to the heart and the higher self. And that's what we're going for here. So if you look for the shadow qualities of your mind's sign, you will get an idea of where your mind might go when you're in a sort of a dark place. And your sun sign and your Mercury is going to give you an idea, an even better idea of what the heck is going on with the monkey chatter. So take a look in your chart, find Mercury, and write in the comments below how your mind functions and how you resonate with Mercury. All right. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your day. I am looking forward to hearing from you.